Good morning, Chief. We're here for the Mayor's budget hearing for the Metropolitan Police Department. I appreciate your coming. Before we get started, I just wanted to offer a couple of opening remarks. As you know, we've had significant revenue increases in the last couple of years, more than $220 million in new revenue. That's allowed us to make some significant improvements across the government. Virtually every department has seen improvements in the last couple of years. This year, we don't anticipate quite so much growth, although we'll have some revenue increase, not as much as before. As a result, we've asked every department to come with essentially a status quo budget. We do know that some departments are in the midst of projects that have been previously approved, and so it's very difficult to come with a status quo budget. Nevertheless, with all that in mind, we're going to stick to our current tax rate, the $3.15.5, so that the taxpayers of Davidson County can go home with more money in their pockets at the end of every month. We believe we can do that and still offer the community the same level of service that we've been providing in this year and in previous years as a government. Having said that, if you could introduce yourself, and the lady to your right, I would say introduce your staff, but for those in the viewing audience, I'm thinking there are close to 30 officers here today, so I'm not sure it would be a good use of our time to introduce everybody, although I do appreciate your attendance this morning. Chief.
Certainly my pleasure to be here and represent the men and women of our police department. Kathy Kirkham, our Assistant Finance Director, is here with me today, seated beside me. And seated in the audience are numerous members of our leadership team, the precinct commanders and the commanders of various divisions across the department. We also have Mark Woodfin, Sergeant Mark Woodfin, here representing the Fraternal Order of Police. Nashville, we've styled ourselves as the guardians of Nashville, and that's what we truly believe. But we can't be the guardians without the cooperation and interaction with citizens of Nashville, and they have been so cooperative with us. Last year, we grew our neighborhood groups up to 690. So across 533 square miles of Nashville, we have 692 neighborhood groups that we meet with on a regular basis. Last year, we attended 2,394 meetings with our neighborhood groups collectively. I think the citizens of Nashville have been pleased with what we do and how we do it. Last year, Vanderbilt conducted a poll on various entities and persons across Nashville, and we scored an 80% approval rate. This year, they repeated that poll, and our approval rate grew to 84%. We're going to work very hard to make that even higher next year. The precinct commanders are the heart and soul of our operation. That's the 8 precinct commanders. They're a neighborhood operation, and they interact with the public on a regular basis. A troubling aspect of what is occurring across Nashville and frankly across America right now is violent crime involving juveniles. And it's such here in Nashville, it's unprecedented, and so we felt the need to form a juvenile task force to address this. And that's headed by one of our lieutenants. They have been very successful in interacting with the juveniles across Nashville and taking them off the streets and getting them to the proper place. Over the past month, 34 arrests of juveniles have been made. 9 of them 17-year-old, 8 of them 16-year-old, 6 of them 15-year-old, 4 of them 14-year-old, and 2 of them 13-year-olds. 27 guns and 8 stolen or carjacked vehicles have been recovered from these juveniles. Just as an example of some of the work that's been done, 2 members of the juvenile task force saw a car on the interstate that matched a car that had been stolen. They followed that car and actually were able to intercept it. The driver was 14 years old. His passenger was 15. And that's typical of what we're seeing now. And I mention this because as a city, we can't lose focus on where we need to be, where the city needs to be, and how we need to address the juvenile issues across Nashville. In calendar year 2017, 12 juveniles were murdered. Twelve juveniles were murdered between the ages of 9 and 16 years old. And last year, 12 juveniles between 12 and 17-year-olds were arrested for murder. So for this year, we have 3 teenagers, 1 16-year-old and 2 15-year-olds who have been murdered. And then 2 teenagers, both 16, have been arrested for murder. I bring that up because our role is to bring those juveniles into the system, and then it's up to the system to offer them treatment, rehabilitation, and get them back on the right path. So we recognize our role, and we recognize that what our responsibilities are, but we want to emphasize it's going to take the whole community to turn this around. Certainly, with the support of the administration, and certainly you, Mayor Briley, as you've taken over, we've been able to keep pace with attrition. We're continuing to hire. We were authorized 70 new officers last year, and we're continuing to hire to fill those officers. Filling our vacancies in the police department has become problematic over the last couple of years. The climate across America has made it difficult for us to recruit. If you, article in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution earlier this week, Atlanta Police Department is down 300 officers. So it's not just Nashville, it's all across America. But we'll keep working to fill those positions. We're about 35 officers below full staffing, and we'll be starting a class in May. Hopefully we'll have 50 officers in there. Hopefully we can graduate between 35 and 40 to bring that number to fill those 70 positions that we were given last year. And then obviously, as Nashville continues to grow, we need to grow the police department alongside it. And that's not just for the incoming people, it's to make sure that we maintain the quality of life for the citizens that are already with us. And certainly, I'm very aware that this is a status quo budget year, so, but I will put on the table things that have already started in progress, specifically a new precinct and the body-worn camera project. And so totally we're asking for a budget increase of $13.5 million. Primarily, there's several small things, but primarily, again, the precincts and the body-worn camera. It takes 66 new officers to open up a precinct, but as you know, the city has purchased property out on Murfreesboro Road, the old Kmart property, and with plans to build the 9th precinct there. That's in Council Lady Virtue's district. I noticed that she's present here today. So hopefully we would start with 22 officers this year. We would have 22 next year, 22 the next year, and open up that precinct in 2021. Certainly, I would be remiss if I did not put that on the table for your consideration, but understanding it is a status quo budget year, we recognize that that may be delayed at some point. Additionally, as we start the body-worn camera project, the council approved last year the funding for the purchase of the hardware, and we need to make sure that we can maintain and operate that system as we get it up and running. Sergeants at our precincts, their administrative duties are taking them out of the field more than I would like. I would like more on-hand supervision in the field. The body-worn cameras are going to put an additional strain on that administrative work. So with 8 precincts and then 3 shifts per precinct, we're asking to promote 22 officers to the sergeant position to help ease that administrative load and then take on the camera project. And then obviously we would want 22 additional personnel, officers hired to take the place of those promoted. Also, we're asking that we hire, in connection with the body-worn camera project, 12 civilian technical experts, 10 of them to work in our information technology section, and then 2 of them to work in our public relations office. The with the body-worn cameras coming on board, we're going to have a drastic increase in public records request. All of that has to be viewed real time before it can be released. And then obviously we need to catalog in our IT section, catalog and operate the system. Also, this part of the IT request is personnel to actually hands-on service the cameras. So that's the people that will actually be installing and maintaining the cameras in the car. We'll be in a position that if a camera is not working, then we'll need to bring that car in. So those people need to be available 24/7. A few other items in our request. We're asking for $2.3 million to fund overtime to increase the special events budget. Special events are growing across Nashville. That's what brings tourists to Nashville. That's what somewhat drives the economy. And we're operating under what we've termed the new normal. We've had to increase the staffing at each special event to take into account contingencies that could occur, things that have occurred and other things. I think we realized this after the Boston Marathon bombing, and so we've had an increase in staffing for those events. Also, we're asking for $37,000 for additional maintenance to our helicopters. I'm always a little concerned when I get in one of those helicopters, recognizing that they're about 45 years old. And there's two of them that's 28 years old, and the other four are 45 to 48 years old. $129,000 to our records division. The increase in our duties as far as expunging criminal records. That's been a drastic increase for the workload and staffing there. So we're asking for 3 positions to shore that up. So, Mayor Briley, I know that for all your years of public service, that you certainly recognize the role of public safety in Nashville. And on behalf of all of our employees, I want to thank you for your continued support. And we'd be pleased to answer any questions.
Thank you. Before we start with questions, I did want to acknowledge that Council Lady Tanaka Vercher is here from the Metro Council's Budget and Finance Committee, the chair of that committee, as well as the Finance Director, Ms. Talia Lomax O'Neill, and the city's Chief Strategy Officer, Brian Kelsey. We do thank you, Chief, for coming. Any questions?
Just a general question. This is a follow-up from our prior discussion with the sheriff. Can you kind of discuss the impact of family medical leave on your budget this year?
You know, I think it's going to be a little too early to know, but it's going to be it's going to be a significant impact. To explain a little bit for those not familiar, under the Family Medical Leave Act, it's a federal act, all of our employees are eligible to take that leave, but generally they use their sick time or their excused leave. But switching it to paid leave is going to put, again, a strain on our budget. And so it's going to be a year or two before I know exactly how many FTEs that might entail. But obviously, when we have people off, we have to have people fill in their place. That amounts to overtime in a good many cases to do that.
The other thing I just wanted to mention is I know that Parks is going to be initiating a youth basketball league in May, and they have been very complimentary of your team for participating in rolling that out, and I just want to say thank you for that.
Very welcome. We always enjoy the opportunity to be a part of a community effort.
Two questions, one on special events and then another one just generally on recruiting. The $2.489 million request related to special events, can you put that in some kind of historical context just to give people an idea for how that activity is generating the need for overtime? I see that you had $325,000 improvement for this fiscal year, and it's goes to 2.5 request for 19. So if you could just maybe give some context for the last few years about how that's been escalating.
Yeah, certainly. many years ago, under previous administrations, a decision was made to staff those special events basically on overtime, so that we would not be taking people out of the neighborhoods, taking officers out of the neighborhoods to staff that. So, and each year, the number of special events has increased, and as I stated earlier, the need for additional staffing. The Country Music Marathon is an example. That takes probably about 600 to 700 officers, because we're dealing with 26 miles of road. And in times past, we concerned ourselves with making sure traffic was properly blocked. But now we've got to concern ourselves not only making sure that traffic is not interfering and endangering people, but that other matters don't interfere, that some of the terrorist-type matters. So that has increased not only the staffing, and then the number of special events has grown. For this year, we're taking on the soccer games, and that will be obviously a good thing for Nashville, but continuing on. So there has been incremental increases in the special events budget over the years, but this year, in our regular operating budget, we are within we were within budget, but the special events budget, if you carve that out, we're projected to be about $2.5 million over what's projected, what is budgeted for this year.
Okay. And a second question about workforce. You mentioned that the national climate is contributing to some hiring challenges. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that? Is it lack of people applying to get into law enforcement in general? Is it having a hard time getting people through the academy and into positions, or where's kind of the bottleneck?
Yes,
there?
sir. The national climate is, well, frankly, people that are qualified to do this job. It takes a highly qualified person to become a police officer. There's a lot of technical aspects that exist now that did not exist when I became a police officer. And so the caliber of people that we need and that we have to have can work most anywhere. So, the national climate being what it is, people are making the decision that maybe I would rather do something else than be a police officer at this point, especially people who had not thought about being a police officer that we're trying to convince that would be a good line of work to be in. And then also part of is our attrition. We have people coming in and saying, I've been here 20 years and I like this job, but it's time for me to leave. And that's sort of unprecedented, because in times past people stayed 25 and 30 and 35 years. So and then part of it is again, the caliber of people we need can work anywhere else. And we know that when we hire, as I mentioned earlier, we have 50 people scheduled to be in the May class, and but we know that 40 will be a good number to actually graduate. Some people just decide that's not what I want to do, and then some people just can't meet the challenge of the academy.
And of the 70 positions that were budgeted last year, do you know how many off the top of your head are filled now?
We hired 37, and we have 30 left in that class. Yes, sir. And there again, we had hoped we do 2 classes a year just for attrition. And so we put on that 3rd class mid-year to get a head start on that 70, and we'd hoped to put 50 or 60 in the class, but we were only able to bring 37. And then, frankly, we robbed ourselves of the mid-year class. We robbed ourselves of some of the applicants for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Chief. You and I have had some discussions about the priorities of the force for this coming year, and on the body-worn cams, I think there is a need for a further discussion with all the parties involved. We're both committed to doing that in the right way. It looks like it's not a full year of funding that's necessary just because of the procurement process. So between now and May 1st, we'll have further discussions with yourself and the District Attorney's Office and the other interested parties just to make sure we're rolling that out in an appropriate and financially prudent way. So I appreciate your willingness to work with me on that. Obviously, I think, like everybody in Nashville, I'm very concerned about the juvenile crime that we've seen recently. I don't know if it's a spike or not, but it's certainly alarming, just the the sense of violence that we're seeing there. And I encourage you to do everything you can to intervene in that context in the coming year. And if there's anything that this office can do to assist by convening people or providing funding or anything, just I think that is certainly a very high priority going forward. As you know, there has been quite a bit of conversation about some sort of civilian review, and there's a policing project that has been working with you, and you've been very cooperative in providing information to those consultants, I guess is what I would call them.
Yes.
So I appreciate your participation in that. I expect that we'll continue to have discussions around those issues. I hope that we can build a broad consensus in the community about what to do on both those issues, because I think that that will help us in the context of sort of putting the national climate behind our community a little bit. So, and you and I have agreed to work together in that regard. So I appreciate that very much.
Yes, sir.
Again, thank you all for coming. Appreciate your service to the city, and look forward to a good year together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you.